15th, 2024. Start with swearing in
Yep.
the new board members. Okay. Is it
Pardon?
just Trish and you that'll be doing this? Is that
No,
the whole-
just Trish.
Okay.
Trish
all right.
just gets to do it.
Okay.
So if the new board members would please come up here,
New and old, because,
new and returning, yes, not old.
well, I feel like I've been on this forever.
I guess I have to come up now.
That's you?
Except we're missing one. Okay, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of USD 431,
and faithfully discharge the duties of USD 431,
Hoisington Public Schools.
Hoisington Public Schools.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Right.
All right.
Okay, roll call. Anyone present except Neil?
Yes.
All right, we'll start with the reorganization. Open it up for nominations for board president.
I'll nominate Becky Mooney for board president.
Second. I move that nomination cease.
There you go.
All right. And I need a second for that.
I'll second.
Okay.
So then we'll vote on the motion, and then we'll vote on Becky,
Okay.
okay?
So vote on the nomination.
The nominations cease.
Oh, okay. Vote that nomination cease.
Yep.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, vote
6-0.
on the, oh,
So
yeah,
I think-
6-0.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think- Yeah, we don't have to have a, so we just have to second that and then vote. I don't think we
Vote
have
in
to do another
favor.
motion. Yeah.
Okay.
Now you just have to vote on the nomination.
Okay. So I guess we'll vote on nomination of Becky Mooney for board president. All in favor? Okay,
6-0.
6-0. Trying to switch?
No, you can do it. Come on, I wanna see how long. This is your
I'm
first
good,
time in the
I'm
hot
good. I was just backup.
You got everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can grab you you might have to still Sarah's with this.
Oh, I need your paper. You stole it.
Oh,
And there's paper.
okay.
There we go.
Cheers.
All right, we'll move on to nominations for board vice president, as currently held by Sarah.
I'll nominate Sarah. I nominate, yeah. Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
You have to nominate those and
Oh,
then cease.
I move that nominations cease.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. All in favor? 6-0.
You vote on-
All right, so then I move to nominate Sarah Tarleton as vice president. All in favor? Passes 6-0. Is that correct? Okay, move on to nominations for the finance committee. That position is currently held by Jessica Bays and Tracy Schneider. Are you two willing to keep that position? Do you want to try something different?
No, keep doing it.
I'm good.
Okay, I move to nominate Jessica Bays and Tracy Schneider to serve on the Finance Committee.
I second.
I move that nomination cease.
Okay, it's
Second.
been moved and seconded to cease nominations. All in favor of Tracy Schneider and Jessica Bays for the Finance Committee? Raise your right hand. Passes 6-0. And you got who seconded that, didn't you? Yes, June? Did you get that?
Just second the motion. Who?
You moved
Nom-
to
I
cease
moved to
nominations.
cease, okay.
Yeah.
And then Jessica,
Was the second?
Jesse was
Yeah.
the second. Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right, we'll move on to nominations for the Negotiations Committee. There are currently 3, correct? on that?
Correct, yes.
And that was Sarah, Jesse, and Dawn, and
Mhm.
Dawn is no longer on the board, so, keeping 3, would someone else be interested in serving on the negotiations?
I'd do it.
Okay,
Tracy? Okay,
Someone needs to nominate.
yeah.
So I'll move to nominate Tracy Schneider for the negotiations committee along with Sarah Tarleton and Jessica Bays.
Second.
I move that nominations cease.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of Tracy, Jesse, and Sarah serving on the negotiations committee, raise your right hand. Okay, passes 6-0. Can you get all that? If I'm going too fast, tell me. Okay. All right, we'll move on to nominations for the Orr Scholarship Committee. That is currently being held by Neil Oakes, who is not here tonight. I'm
Just
okay
nominating for everything else since he didn't come to you.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm okay
surprised you
to
didn't
leave
put him
there,
on
so-
negotiations.
I thought about
Think about it,
it,
Tracy, his name.
actually. I might be in big trouble if I did that without
Backup.
I would be okay to leave Neil as the representative for the Orr Scholarship Committee.
I'll second.
I'll move nomination cease.
Second.
Sarah, was that you that seconded?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to keep Neil Oakes for Orr Scholarship Committee. All in favor? Passes 6-0. Okay, nominations for Sick Leave Bank Committee. There's one right now, and that was Dean, who is no
Correct.
longer on the board. So,
And Sick Leave Bank Committee is a group of individuals from each of the buildings. If we have an incident where somebody runs out of all of their sick leave and they need additional leave, the board has agreed to have a pool of sick time that people can be, that can dip into that to not lose PTO, paid time off. So typically it's a email giving kind of some explanation and then an email back approving, yes, you would want to do that, or no, we would choose not to extend that leave.
I mean, I would be willing to do that if no one else wants it.
Somebody's.
Need
I'll
a
nominate.
motion.
I'll nominate Becky.
I'll second.
I move that nominations cease.
Second.
Okay. Nomination for Becky Mooney to serve as the board representative for the Sick Leave Bank Committee. All in favor? Passes 6-0. All right, nominations for Educational Foundation Representative, and right now that is Sarah. Do you want to keep that position, or do you want, okay. I nominate Sarah Tarleton to serve as the board representative for the Educational Foundation.
Second.
Madam President, I move nomination cease.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded I nominate Sarah to serve as the board representative for the Educational Foundation. All in favor? Passes 6-0. All right, nominations for governmental relations. That was currently held by Dean, who obviously isn't here. Anybody want that?
Yeah, I'm willing to do
So
that.
I was
I nominate Julie
Everybody was looking down at that one.
for the governmental relations position. I need a second.
Second.
That was Jesse.
I move to cease nominations.
Second.
Okay, I move to nominate Julia Devis to serve on the Governmental Relations Committee. All in favor? 6-0. We're all through that, huh? All right,
Okay.
welcome to our two
Yeah.
new board members.
To the whirlwind start.
I know,
so.
right? Kevin Patterson and Julia Devis. Welcome. Thank you for your willingness to serve. It's not always a thankful job, so I'm glad to have you on board. All right, we'll move on to item 5, approval of the agenda.
From the time that we published the agenda to tonight, I did add under new business C, new business Pathfinder policies and user agreements. So if you would please adopt the agenda as modified, I would appreciate that.
I'm going to adopt the agenda as modified.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as modified. All in favor? Passes 6-0. All right, item 6, opportunity for visitors. Welcome to all of our, I'm assuming all seniors.
Which one of you guys are gonna talk?
I was gonna say, which one has their speech ready? Oh,
Words
did
are-
the teacher not tell you you have to do that? Just kidding, guys. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to number 7, review of district strategic plan.
Just keeping this in the front of our thoughts and working towards, trying to work through these items. We'll be using these as we work with our KISA accreditation plan as we move forward with the school year, so.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item 8, which is the consent agenda. And before you have your December 4th meeting minutes, the cash balance report, check registry, and then the activities account report. Anybody have any questions on that? If not, I'll move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
A second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor? Passes 6-0. Okay, we'll move on to item 9, old business. A, replacement of old gator.
I just want to bring this to everybody's attention. We are replacing the old gator that we've used up at the football field because of the idea that the back 2 tires are in constant motion, and so that they could rip the seams on the turf. We are trying to find a used Prowler or used Gator of that type of machine to be able to continue to use the groomer. We've had some along the way that we've had the opportunity to buy, but they're like top of the line or all decked out, and so we're continuing to look. So I don't want anybody to think that we're not going to replace that. We are going to replace that. I know that we still have a couple months before spring sports get into full swing, when we'll need to use that again. So just want everybody to be aware we are looking on pretty much a weekly basis to try to find something, and probably 3 or 4 different vendors. So it may just come out in a weekly email that we purchased something, because it'll be under the $20,000. So
Anybody have any questions? Move on to item B, demolition of the Roosevelt modular.
Part of the daycare moving forward is the movement of the modular. We did get a estimate from Stone Sand Company to go ahead and demolish, backfill, and move the block that's underneath that. That estimate came out to just right around $4,000. I'm gonna go, if the board goes ahead and approves that, we're gonna go ahead and plan on having that done probably over spring break. And then that way we'll be able to move forward. And I have talked to Ms. Walker about that. We are looking at trying to do some things with washer and dryer in the interim until we get the new building there.
Will we have to replace the fence there too, or does it go around the building? I can't remember.
Well, part of that fence will actually come completely out. We'll probably put a temporary fence up
Okay.
to begin with for safety. But when the daycare goes in, the fence will go farther to the west.
Gotcha.
And we'll work with them. We're talking about maybe even replacing some of the surface in the back with turf surface back there, and kind of tying that all in together. So there's several things that'll be coming down the pike as we move forward with that project.
Any other questions? I move to accept the bid from Stone Sand Company as presented for the demolition of the Roosevelt modular. Date to be determined.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, item C, fundraising policy. This is the first reading.
And this is a draft reading. Please take time to look at this as well and see if there's other things that you would like to see in this. As the administration and I have talked about this, this kind of hits the idea of us, number one, providing a gooder service whenever we're doing any kind of fundraising, and not just selling air or doing a phone-a-thon. With our athletic teams, we want to support those teams to the best of our ability as a district, as well as our activities that may be raising money for national competitions or national organizations that they attend as well. And so the only thing that I was not able to get into this, and we'll be working on the wording of that, is, we have some instances where there are some multi-level marketing things that are used as fundraisers, and so I still want to work on some wording in that area as well. but it's broken down into athletic teams, activities, and then some of our exceptions, because I think some of our groups, and if you don't realize this, some of our groups do a great job of spontaneously supporting families and individuals in the community in need. And so we did not want to eliminate that as well. And so we did make some exceptions when it came to that as well as some of the groups use concessions many times throughout the year. And so we didn't want them to be penalized because they are taking on and doing that. And they're a lot of times the groups that do the majority of the concession stand. So we didn't want to penalize them as well. So again, going back for those of you that are new, we had some issues where we kind of had a lot of fundraisers going on, and there has been a fundraising policy, but we could not find that fundraising policy. So we're trying to put together this draft to kind of help put some guidelines to that. We have a form that has been utilized religiously since I've been here, but sometimes some groups send me multiple forms, and so we're gonna try to make that to where it's a little bit more conducive to us not hitting up the community as much for funds. So questions about this? And this it does tie into policy JHA, so that's why I did include that.
And if this gets approved, it'll just be effective starting next school year.
It'll be
just
effective
effective
probably immediately.
Okay.
I mean, but it is up to you. If you want it effective next school year, we would make it effective.
Yeah,
next
I
school
mean,
year.
I just was thinking, basketball, wrestling did a
Mhm.
phone-a-thon. So,
Yep.
I mean, if they did one and if track,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
we're not
Like
gonna
if track,
we're not gonna penalize them for
no,
yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
say like if track wanted to do that,
Right, right,
if this
right.
was effective immediately, should they still get the opportunity to,
Right.
even though we let the other sports
Okay.
allow it, but that's what I was questioning that.
So what about like those instances where it's probably more like activities, like they're gonna go to, I don't know, state or league or something
Mhm.
like that, and they do a fundraiser and that's what's counted as their fundraiser, but they don't quite raise enough money. Is there any way that they can try again? I mean, if we're saying that they can only do one.
Right. So typically, a lot of those groups will, just ask the district, and we have funds available that will
Okay.
support that. So, like going to nationals last year for FCCLA, FCCLA had this much money they needed. And so we worked out something so that we supported
Yeah,
that.
I just know like with FCCLA, like I know when my daughter went to nationals, we did several
Right.
in just a short amount of time. It
Yep.
wasn't like we did one fundraiser to raise the
Right.
money before we came to the school board. Like we did several.
Okay.
So that's
Yep.
what I'm asking.
Yep.
Like, is that an option? Should we have like a caveat or something in there for that?
And
or?
that's where she has kind of gone to not going to nationals every year. And so like the trip that they took down to, I believe it was Alabama, this year, that was a couple years in the making.
Okay.
So they, instead of trying to do that every single year and do fundraisers all throughout the year, they've done it like every other year and taken a larger group with that.
Okay.
And just a question on this one, if, just to make sure the policy allows for it, because it says to provide a good or service, if you are approaching somebody and somebody just wants to give a cash donation instead of sign up for the raffle cards or that, under this policy, that would still, even though they're
Yeah.
not receiving the good or service.
Yeah, that might
So
be
if they were
a good
just
draft. That might be something
Cash
to add to the
donations in
draft.
lieu of good and service. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know several people are like, oh, I don't wanna buy anything, but I'll give you
Right.
$20.
Any other questions? Okay, we will move on to item 10, new business. A, December 2023 policy updates.
I did go ahead and include those so that you have the opportunity to read through them. The synopsis are pretty good as well. You know, EBBD is one to kind of read through, as well as it relates back to JBH. So those two are going to work together as you're reading those. Food service management. They've been talking about this for several years. Our intent, so the policy, our policy is that, you know, as somebody is overdrawn on their lunch service, they should be actually receiving an alternative meal. We have chosen in practice to not do so, because 9 times out of 10, it is not typically the students that we're having the issue with. We're having issues with parents continuing to not pay or work with the school on not paying. This year, with working with Ms. Evans with food service, we have implemented a letter policy. So we have 3 letters that go out on 3-week intervals for anybody that has over $100 balance. Anybody that has began or has started to work with the district, we continue to work with them. If we don't hear anything from them in 3 weeks, they get another letter. And then at the end of that 3 weeks, they get another letter. We are to the end of the first cycle of the 3 letters. And so we are now in the process of working with the Kansas State Department of Revenue, with the Kansas Set-Off Program, which is actually a debt collection. And so we do have some excessive balances, but with that being, you know, said, there may be some minor revisions to this policy in our final reading that don't penalize the students, but still continue to have them have a reimbursable meal. I mean, we're well within our rights to basically say you don't have enough money, here's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or here's an alternative meal. We don't feel like that's the best way to handle it at the student level. Does that make sense to everybody? So, and we are trying to work with the parents. Even if they'll contact us and say, I'll send you $5 a month, you know, we'll work with them. If they would just contact us, fill out the free and reduced lunch application. If they haven't done that, many will qualify, and they're surprised sometimes that they do. We're not trying to shame anybody. We just we want to provide a good a good quality service to everybody. So that one will definitely be one that I would suggest that you read. Some changes to JARIA, pregnant and parent employees. Then some other changes to that JARID in terms of uniform service leave. And then then JDDAA, student misuse of medication. is the last one. So I would recommend that you read through those prior to the next meeting. Throughout this week, I will look over the full policy of EE food service, and if there's any recommendations to how we would like to modify that based on what we actually practice, I will get those to you on Friday. Any questions on that?
Patrick, I have two things. One on the unlimited meals. Just one asterisk as to when we do that policy that could influence if students have food allergies and then are in that situation where they have a food allergy or have something and then they're celiac, they can't have a peanut butter jelly sandwich or they have
Right,
a peanut
right.
allergy, so.
And that's typically one of the reasons too, we don't want to do those, because if we have that alternative meal, it's gonna be that or nothing.
Yeah. And,
So,
and then the other one I had was just when we are developing policy on the pregnant and nursing mothers policy, just making sure that, and I don't know if we do in the buildings or not yet, have the outlines for what the space is for nursing mothers, as far as making sure that those provide seating, electricity, privacy, and then also storage, and having that as a designated, having that designation made at each of the school buildings, if it's not already. So,
okay.
coming from somebody who had to pump in a filing cabinet, so, so before that law went into place.
Okay.
So,
All right, any other questions? No, we will move on to item B, transportation report.
I just want everybody to be aware, we had no plans at the beginning of this year to replace any of our buses. We continue to have, some issues with bus 3, which is the older activity bus. I know it's one of the favorites, so we will take that into consideration, but we also want it to be safe and be able to be used. We had to put some students on a yellow bus. Last time, bus 3 was scheduled to go out because the lights did not work correctly. We believe we have that corrected, but minor things on bus 3 continue to happen. And so the good thing is that I think we'd be able to purchase a bus. The bad thing is that buses are running 16 to 18 months out. So even if we ordered one today, we would not get it until like next, so like May, after May. So that is something to consider. I will be sitting down and talking with Diane and seeing if that's something we need to look at more seriously sooner than later. Actually, I'll probably even talk to our 2 bus drivers that typically take it the most. So
Is it mostly electrical issues or?
it's something we've been aware of since we had it up to Nebraska for a big checkover, and they were like, so it's one of those that we know that there's an issue, it fixes itself for a while, and then it rears its head for a little bit, and so one of our goals in transportation has been that, we don't want to make kids have to take an extra sweatshirt, and we want to be able to pull them out and drive down the road.
Right.
So, I think looking at, the purchase of 18, which is the newer activity bus, I would recommend that we maybe look at a different style bus. We've had a lot of issues with running into stuff with the back end of that bus, not necessarily the front end of the bus. Maybe a different style bus that's a little bit more traditional instead of, the one that has the really large back end. So I may start doing some investigation, and we'll see kind of where we can come up with. So.
Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to item C, Pathfinder policies and user agreement.
This is, kind of a formality. This is the Pathways, Pathfinder is actually a program that the Central Kansas Library Association uses. And we are a part of the Central Kansas Library Association. Our libraries at Lincoln and Roosevelt and the middle school both use this program. So our representative, Melissa Hipp, from our libraries to that organization, brought this to us to go ahead and improve, because we approve it. I've read through the policies and user agreement and feel like that there's nothing on it that is surprising. So it's a good program for us to be able to use.
Is there any information on that, like for,
I've got a copy of the policy if you,
is it pretty long? I just,
no, it's pretty standard actually. And there's no cost to us. I mean, it's just a standard agreement of usage and, updates and different things like that.
So it just allows us more resources through their system.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much connects us with the Central Kansas Library Association.
Okay.
Anyone else want to peruse this? Okay.
All right, any questions, anybody? I move,
I'll go ahead.
go ahead.
I'll move to approve the Pathfinder central policies and the user agreement as presented.
I'll second. Been moved and seconded, all in favor? Passes 6-0. All right, we'll move on to item 11, reports. We'll start with Mrs. Walker.
This may probably feel a little nervous. Good evening. So we came back to school here in January and right away got on some dental screenings. So thank you to Stacy Dolachek because she arranges all of that. They come out of Hayes and they come to our buildings. We set them up in the art room. It looks very, very well. We will be having, Lincoln and Roosevelt will be having a combined site council meeting on Monday, January 22nd at 6 o'clock. And then following that at 6:30, we will have our HEPA meeting. So we welcome all that want to be involved and join in on that. So the Wetlands comes out to visit the first grade. They've done this for years and years and years. Pam Martin, who was doing it, has retired. So they have a new young lady, Natalie Unruh, who comes out now and does it. So she will be coming on January 23rd. She had to switch up some days, and so we always look forward to them coming out. I will be attending the ESDEC Crisis Consortium on Wednesday, January 24th. We've talked about lots of different things. We went over our crisis plan. We went over mental health. It's been really interesting to go to, and I always like getting together with the people at ESDEC. We have an early release at noon on Wednesday, January 31st. This is a half day for students and then a half day for teacher in-service. We will continue working on our resilience training. Miss Allison, our family care liaison, she has been working really hard to create a care portal. So this is a way to connect our school and community. It's an online portal that allows a small group of people to post the needs of our community, and this then can be fulfilled by community businesses and churches. There are actually a lot of communities in Kansas that have these already, so we're looking forward to getting this started. We have a luncheon planned on February 1st, and we have approximately 25 interested donors right now. So shout out to Miss Allison. She's worked really hard on this, and she's very passionate about it. So I thank her for that. And then in March, I know I skipped a month, but this is pretty exciting. Our TK kindergarten and first grade students will be attending Pinkalicious the musical in Salina on March 1st. So this is a really, really great opportunity for them, and a huge shout out to Mrs. Kraft. She got this all organized for our kiddos and teachers to go. So I'm pretty pumped about them going to that. So that's all I have tonight, short and sweet.
Thank
Any
you.
questions? No? Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cowan.
Good evening. We had our second and third grade music concert. It went really well and the auditorium was very full. Mr. Quaid and his class live streamed it for us. Mrs. Kraft did a great job of planning that all out. It was adorable, all the kids in their little dress outfits. Christmas Craft Day was also a success. The teachers took hold of it and planned all of it this year. The kids had a great time, and we even had a visit from Santa. So have to check out our pictures on our Facebook page. We had our grade level spelling bee organized by Mrs. Applegate. The top 5 from 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade will compete in our school-wide spelling bee on January 23rd at 8 a.m. Parents of those students may attend, and it will be live streamed. Then the top 2 will go on to our county spelling bee. That is something else to see all those students up there competing. If you ever get a chance to see it, it's pretty impressive. We had our second 9 weeks honor roll. It was a packed house. The band performed to welcome the people in before. Mrs. Ball did a great job with that. It was a great showcase of their skills, and many of our students played solos. Pretty impressive for their first year. It was really neat. The Wichita Children's Theater came and performed The Ugly Duckling and The Musical Adventures of Flat Stanley. Thank you to our music teachers for setting that up. They were really fantastic. Dental screenings are happening some more this week as well. We haven't quite finished up with the delays. Thank you for setting that up, Mrs. Dolachek. We also had a staff co-care night this last Wednesday. We have one of these each month to support and make connections with one another. We just had a nice night together. January 22nd is our HEPA meeting at Roosevelt at 6:30, and before that at 6 is our site council meeting. Please come if and anybody's welcome. January 23rd is our 4th and 5th grade concert at the high school auditorium at 7. January 31st is our early release day. We'll have a family day that morning for our Lincoln school families. Then in the afternoon, we'll be working on data teams in the afternoon. February 10th, our 5th graders are going to the band contest in Andover. It's kind of neat this year. They're splitting it into different levels, so they have a contest just for new band members. So our 5th graders are going to go and get to experience that. So a good opportunity for them. I will hopefully soon here be leaving on maternity leave. My contact is Mr. Flowers after this, or if you send a real nice email, I might answer you. So he's all set up, and all my evals are complete, and in-service days planned out. Counting down the days, so really excited and gonna miss our students and teachers for a little bit. But all right, any questions?
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brungart.
Good evening. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a good start to the new year. Obviously, I like this when our board meeting was a little closer to the new year. We ended our semester on a high note with our Christmas Fun Day. All students were able to participate. We ended our semester with only 5 students on the F list, with 7 total Fs in all. This was in comparison to 84S by 30 students last year. So it's a direct result of our kids, getting in the classroom and doing what they're supposed to, and my staff's commitment to the implementation of our resilience training and our Cardinal Core values in our hallways and classrooms. So proud of my staff, my kids for that. We also had our first annual science fair. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Andrews, Miss Mooney, and Miss Lauren for putting this project or fair on for our kids. Our kids really immersed themselves into the projects and really took hold of it and got involved, and it was fun to watch in the classrooms as well as in present at the fair. Again, I'd like to thank Ms. Cowan, Mr. Crowdis, and Mr. Flowers for judging the projects. It was a little loud in there. We had some activities going on in the gym, and the fair was in the cafeteria. So we're looking at maybe moving it to later in the evening, so community members and family can come in and see the projects as well. I mean, it was really fun to watch. I mean, some of these kids that don't participate much in class really got into this project and presented well for us. So it was, again, one of real proud of that fact. Also proud of the fact one of my teachers, Cindy Wilborn, filled out and secured a grant for some funds to purchase equipment for students to use, and we purchased a Gaga pit. I can't explain the rules to you. I'm not that familiar with it. It's kind of a combination between Foursquare and dodgeball. It's just an octagon pit type deal, and you got to throw the ball and hit the wall and hit them below the knees and not fall out of the pit, basically. So the kids enjoy it. It's fun to watch them play it. So we got that to use throughout the district if needed. Our second semester's begun. We're got most of our student changes done now. We will also be participating in the school-wide spelling bee on January 26th. All students are encouraged to participate, and they have the opportunity to move on to the county spelling bee if you're top 2 finishers. Our 8th graders are going to participate in Reality U on the 31st in Ellenwood. This is an eye-opening experience for a lot of our kids. It's an all-day event where it allows the students to see how their education can affect their future, and they get a crash course on the basic financial skills, and provides an opportunity for our community to become involved in our stakeholders. And we rotated between us, Larned, and Ellenwood, I believe, maybe Great Bend too. But like I said, when our kids start having to go in and get housing and food and transportation, it kind of opens their eyes about what it really takes to make it out there in the real world sometimes. So it's fun to watch them grow and have those aha moments while they're doing that. So that's about all I have right now. Anybody got any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Mr. Flowers, sorry.
You're okay. Good evening, everyone. Hey, so basketball finished up in December. We finished with our 7th grade boys and girls both going 12-2. The only team they lost to is Heston both times, so they did a very good job. And both losses, if I'm remembering right, were by a total of 2 points. So it was a tight battle. So it'll be exciting next year with them. 8th grade boys went 2-11. 8th grade girls 6-6, and C team boys from between their 2 teams went 17-6, and C team girls 5-8. But the big piece that my coaches and I both saw was there was a lot of growth throughout the season. The teamwork was there. That you didn't see their heads dropping. So the growth is definitely occurring, which is what goal of middle school athletics is. Scholars Bowl tryouts have been completed. This year we did have to hold tryouts as we had over 30 students from both 8th and 7th grade want to participate. And the max we can really have per team is 8 8th graders and 8 7th graders. And that's because you can only have 5 on the team at a time. So that gives them a couple for rotational. Wrestling practice has begun. Our coaches are doing a fantastic job of being vocal and out there and just making sure the kids are all participating and learning. Numbers were lower than we expected. Boys ended up right around 22 total participants, and girls right around 16. sadly just a little tougher than some of them expected, and honestly, just there's always a little drop off, especially in January. Some of our upcoming events consist of, on January 10th, our students are going to partake in a virtual career fair. January 16th, Scholars Bowl will be going to Great Bend. That was postponed from last week. January 18th, our wrestlers will travel to Nickerson. The 20th, they'll go to Larned. And then the 23rd, Scholars Bowl will be at Haven. Our vocal will also get to participate in Real Men Sing at Bethany College on January 25th. And then wrestling will be at Hoisington and Trago between 27th and the 29th. Athlete of the month for the month of December for boys was Parker Turner for the sport of basketball, and Zena Neal also for basketball. Both of those students worked really hard, and their coaches saw a lot of growth between them in leadership throughout the season. All groups are preparing for the beginning of a quick second half of the winter season. As we know, winter kicks off hard in January and February. Seems like it flies by, especially with all these half days and everything else that changes the weeks. Like I brought up of the Real Men Sing, vocal's going to travel 20 students to Real Men Sing between 6th and 8th grade. These students will get to participate with students from across the state and hear from different leaders from different colleges. So great opportunity for our young men. Eligibility, like Mr. Brungart already alluded to, was fantastic first semester, ending with a total of 5 students on the F list. So congratulations to our staff and our students for their hard work and determination. Any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Mason and Mr. Kraft are both, I'm assuming, at the Activity Center.
Yep.
So their reports are posted on web school tools for you guys to look at.
I see.
I know, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We know where she
That's a
works.
nursing
Yeah,
home,
nursing
right?
thing. So,
Gosh.
do want to highlight the 6 students that competed at state debate: Brody Selfridge, Braden Stevenson, Jessica Lovett, Hunter Adams, Hunter Knight, and AJ Thurman. So we congratulate those students for participating at state debate. So, great job.
Very good. All right, Mr. Crowdis.
All right. I told Trish I would try to keep it short. Daycare and food service update. These are combined for those of you that are new to the board. After having an agreement with USD 428, the Great Bend Economic Development Daycare Center was told that they would not be able to do so, and so we're not able to work with 428. So they approached us. We've been working with OPA to try to go ahead and secure being able to supply that food. Logistically, we didn't feel like it would be able to have us actually deliver that food, but I'm going to be meeting with the director of the economic development later this week to go ahead and maybe try to see how she's coming on some of those logistics as well. So the daycare is progressing. I know Mrs. Walker and I have worked on some changes to their floor plan that they are proposing for our site. It will not actually affect the actual square footage, so they don't feel like it'll make any major changes to that, especially in the drawing phases as we move forward. So I'll be working with her, with Sarah Hayden, to see about making those changes, and then working with GLMV to make those changes as well. Most of it has to do with aesthetics and safety more than anything, as well as storage. So press box update. I did meet with 2 construction companies prior to the break to actually give us an estimate on the press box. One, Giesel Construction, has decided that it will just not fit in their schedule, and I understand that because it is kind of a tight schedule in the summertime. The Feist Construction Company is still in the process of getting numbers. for that. And they said when kind of the world thaws out a little bit, then we'll work on some of the other projects as well. So still waiting for a little bit of information from them. The HVAC control system, just to get a couple people, get everybody up to speed, Kevin and Julia, we used our last round of ESSER money, a portion of our last round of ESSER money, to pay for basically the control system for our heaters and air conditioners, primarily in the high school, the middle school, Roosevelt, and the activities center. That system is 16 years old. It's a software-driven system and was deteriorating rapidly to the point where some of the actual rooms were not showing up on the software anymore. So we actually are in the process of replacing that. We're working with a company called ESP, as well as a company called ES2 that have been in the buildings working on that system since late October. They are in the kind of the finishing up phases in the middle school. Roosevelt is online, and then the middle school, they have some electrical issues that they're coming up with, that the gentleman, there's one individual gentleman in their office that actually works on that, so they're waiting for him to come back to work on that. They will jump over to the activity center and try to get that done. If they're not done by the end of January, it'll be probably the first week of February. But they're planning on still being done by the end of January. Carrie's been great to work with that company. Tyler has been wonderful to work with them as well. And so I can't say anything but good things about both their companies as well as how our people have worked with them. So it's been a relatively smooth project. We found a lot of things at the high school that we weren't anticipating to find, which has kind of burned through our contingency fund. But as we've had our weekly meetings, they have not found anything at the middle school so far that would actually need to go back to contingency fund. So right now, the agreement is that they have to come to me if they have anything above and beyond what's on the blueprints at this point in time. So questions about that one? Finally, for my report, I plan on going to a meeting for our Kermit, which is our property and casualty insurance pool. As I've looked around and I've talked to multiple superintendents at different meetings that I've been at, I know that our property and casualty insurance is going to go up. It is probably going to go up double-digit %, but I also feel like that where we are at is probably the best place that we can be. We have not had any significant claims. We've hit a few deer. We've had some things, go wrong with a few vehicles. We have districts in our area that were told 45 days from the time that their insurance was supposed to renew that they were dropped. So we do not feel like that Kermit is going to come in and drop us. We feel like that we're in a safe place to go ahead and continue. I believe those of you that have been on the board a little bit longer remember the year Sherry was here. I believe company came in and basically said you're not insured anymore, and so she had to scramble around and find property and casualty insurance. So so I believe our situation is about as good as it can be. at this point in time. So I'll be keeping you abreast of what, changes might happen in the future. The information we've been told from Kermit right now is that they will continue to have a flat fee for deductibles, whereas some other companies in the state of Kansas are going to a percentage. So a 1 or 2% deductible, and in many cases, those are per building. So a 1% at Roosevelt for the incident, a 1% at Lincoln per incident. And so many districts, if that is the case, are having to have reserves, in some cases, in some very large districts, up to $6 million in reserves to cover their deductibles. So again, I want to reemphasize, I believe we're in a good spot with Kermit. Is it perfect? No. But that's why I want to go to this meeting and, just listen and be a part of that. So any questions about the wonderful world of insurance?
If not, we'll move on to item H, legislative report.
Just real quick, the House and Senate did go back into session last week. They did have a snow day on Tuesday, but House Bill 2485 was introduced. This would potentially eliminate the 2-year enrollment look back. So as our enrollment decreases, the state allows us to look back 2 years. That would affect us. They would only have a 1-year look back or the use of the current enrollment numbers. So KSB currently is opposing that, and there will be some discussion as time goes on with that one as well. Governor Kelly released her fiscal year 25 budget. It does include a 5-year plan to fully fund special education, and you're going to hear me talk about that a lot. Currently, the state funds about 63% of special education. It is state statute that the state is supposed to fund 92% of special education. So, feel free to reach out to our senator and our representative. I can get you their contacts and express your opinions about that. I'll just go on from there. Okay, and then anticipate a debate next week on the flat tax. KSB, which is Kansas Association of School Boards. If I say an acronym and it doesn't make any sense, anybody let me know. KSB is our lobbying entity, or your lobbying entity is state school board, and you as the school board. They are going to lobby against the flat tax because they do believe that it would harm eventually public education. They do see that over the next year it would be a decrease of about $1.5 billion to the state income. So there's a lot of debate around the flat tax, and some believe that it would only affect the upper echelon, but overall, KSB feels like that it would affect public education and the state funding. So that's all I have on the legislative side right now.
Anybody have any questions, comments? If not, we'll move on to item I, any board member reports. Nobody has anything. We will move on to number 12, personnel. I'm assuming we need to go into executive session.
If you would like to, I have 2 resignations and 1 nomination.
Okay, maybe, what do you think, 10 or 15 minutes?
Sure.
Okay. I move we go into executive session for 15 minutes pursuant to discussing non-elected personnel under the KOMA exception for the purpose of discussing nominations and resignations with just you. Are you the only one that needs to be in there?
I mean, we have a middle school coach, if you want Mr. Flowers.
Okay.
You know, he's the one that talked to him.
Mr. Crowdis and Mr. Flowers present. The meeting will resume at 8:20.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0.
Sarah, I can't hear you with you all the way over there.
Yeah.
Right, here's
Yeah.
the- I can hear you.
All right.
Sign.
All right, coming out of the executive session with the following motions. I move to accept the resignation, retirement of Christina Lamoureux from the position of high school art teacher effective at the end of 2023-24 school year.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0. I move to accept the resignation of Matt Coleman from the position of high school head golf coach effective immediately.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0. I move to accept the nomination of Clayton Sargent for the position of middle school track assistant coach as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Passes 6-0. Did you get all of those? Okay.
I move to adjourn.
All right, and no negotiations for this evening, so we'll move on to 14. And Sarah's already jumped.
Sarah is on it.
Becky, I was
Motion's
wanting to
been made
beat
to
you.
adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
I
6-0.
have it pre-typed like I usually do. It's always Becky.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I was trying to beat her to it.